welcome to the second podcast hosted by culture360.asef.org, the arts and culture portal of the Asia-Europe Foundation. Today, we will be speaking with the organizers and participants of CRISOL, Creative Processes, a collaborative project between a network of 7 Italian and 8 Asian partners, supported by the Ministry of Culture of Italy. This podcast is the second in this series and is part of a media partnership between Culture360 and Cross Festival. Cross Festival is a contemporary performing arts and dance festival that is currently taking place in Verbania, Italy. It is also one of the initiators of CRISOL. We will be talking to the organizer, the dramaturg, and some of the participating artists and choreographer of CRISOL, with a particular focus on the Asia Path, one of the interregional networks created within CRISOL that connects Asian and European performing arts professionals. The Asia Path includes 8 organizations, festivals, and venues from Hong Kong, Singapore, India, China, and Macau. We will hear from them about what it means concretely to be part of this network and how important it is to support this transnational dialogue, particularly during these unprecedented times we are living, where cultural exchanges are deeply affected by the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. So let's start with Maurizia Settembri. Maurizia is the director of Fabrica Europa, a contemporary arts festival held each spring in Florence, Tuscany. Fabrica Europa is also one of the organizations that has initiated CRISOL. Maurizia, as project leader of CRISOL, can you tell us more about how CRISOL came about and what are the various ramifications of this project?
Thank you, Valentina. And thanks to Culture 360 and the Grace Festival for providing this space to promote and present CRISOL project. It's a really pleasure to share with the audience this exciting experience. And Fabrica Europa is the project leader, but the project has been is made in association between 7 Italian performing arts festival and the organization, not only festival, because it's festival that have residencies, there is space, there is theater. Collaboration and exchange is really in the roots of the project. This is why we decided to call this project CRISOL. That means crucible, the container in which metal made together, melting pot, we can say. By favoring an exchange of knowledge in which ideas, culture, and territories come together like metals in the crucible, we believe that it's possible to create a virtuous circle that can give life to a new way to meet and cooperate, and also to create a new scenario, we hope. The aim of the project is really to let people to meet together and meet together choreographers, dancers, musicians, and artists from Italy and from different countries over the world. The dialogue, the fusion, the crossover of different performative and creative practice wants to generate an open confrontation on culture diversity that can overcome boundaries. That's our aim. The project is funded by the Italian Ministry of Culture and Tourism, thanks to the special program Boarding Pass 2019, that wish to work in the internationalization of the Italian artists. That's the principle. As I said, CRISOL, as I said, and as also you said, Valentina, CRISOL Creative Process is promoted by a group of 7 Italian partners, a national network mainly of festivals, but also professionals from all over Italy, from north to south. And 14 international partners from Europe, Africa, and Asia in different countries, Morocco, Tunisia, Senegal, Lebanon, Bulgaria, Armenia, India, China, Hong Kong, Macau, Singapore, and South Korea. Because the network includes entities from all over the world, we have decided to develop the project in 4 different parts through 4 geographical areas: Africa, Middle East, East Asia. A SPAC, which involved artists and young professionals, focused on a specific topic as a starting point of discussion for the group, is the starting project for that. We hope that these paths that we are developing will be a fast stage of future projects, collaboration, and possibly international co-production. Thank you. I hope it's enough time.
Thank you, Maurizia. Yes, okay. So maybe I'd like now to hear a bit more also from Giulia Poli. Giulia, welcome back to this second podcast. For those of you who didn't listen to our first podcast with Cross Festival, Giulia is CRISOL Asia Pac project manager and has been involved in this project since the beginning. Giulia, can you share how the collaboration went so far between the Asian partners and the Italian partners?
Thanks, Valentina. Thank you for having me again. So as Maurizia said, many Italian partners have been working together on the project from the beginning, and Cross Festival is one of them. And the festival is working very hard and devoting a lot of time and energy and resources to create a successful project. And to speak in particular of the East Asia path, so that the audience can understand better what we are talking about. So the path is conceived as a participatory workshop that gathers together performing artists from East Asia and Italy. Therefore, the first step was to find partners interested in the development of a collaborative project. And we were lucky enough to interest important entities from all over Asia. So we were able to create an active network of Asian partners that joined the Italian partners that started the project. And at the moment, the Asian partners that we are working with for the Asia Path are at the Kalari Center for Movement Arts in Bangalore, India, CCDC, City Contemporary Dance Festival and Company in Hong Kong. And we have the representatives of both these institutions with us today, so we can hear more from them later. And then we have a partner in Singapore that is Dance Nucleus, and one partner from Macau called Stella and Artist. So after this first step of creating a specific network to support the project, the second step was the selection of the artist. That has been done through a closed application process. So all the partners from Italy and Asia, they have been involved in the selection, and they selected artists from the different countries. And the participants have been selected to be the more heterogeneous as possible in terms of backgrounds, gender, and nationality. And so the group, as Maurizia said, is formed both by artists and professionals. Altogether, we are 7 people. So we have 2 artists from Italy, Francesca Foscarini and Giovan Francesco Giannini, 1 artist from India, that is Anindita Ghosh, 1 from Hong Kong, Noel Pong, 1 artist from China, Gao, 1 from Singapore, Jerel Leung, and Albert Garcia, who is the artist from Macau. And then there is myself as project manager, and Fabrizio Massini, who acts as a dramaturg and also artistic coordinator of the workshop. And we invited the artists to join a conversation around the ideas of tradition and form. And we think that this can be a departure point for transnational dialogue. And I'm sure that Fabrizio later on will go more in detail about the work that we are doing with the group. I would like only to stress, because this is really important, that the support that we have from so many international partners is absolutely essential, and because they are supporting all the artists through the process.
I wanted to also ask you a little bit more about the challenges that the network is facing now because of the COVID-19 situation. Did it really affect a lot of the process that the group is working on, or not so much at this point in time?
Well, the pandemic has completely reshaped the project. In fact, the encounter between the artists was supposed to happen live. And thanks to several artistic residencies that we were organizing both in Italy and Asia. So before the pandemic hit in February, the project was already planned. And we were supposed to start in Italy with 3 weeks of residency between May and June, and then move to Asia with residencies in July in all the participating countries. And we think that having residencies in many different places would have added a lot to the exchange process, because each artist was also supposed to act as a host in his own country to share with the others his or her background. And also traveling together in many different cultural environments would have been an amazing opportunity of learning and exchange. But because of the reduced mobility due to COVID-19, we had to rethink the project and find new ways of working together. So we decided to develop the project in 2 phases, one online and one offline. So the online phase, which has already started in June, is developed thanks to Zoom. And the group is having meetings every 2 weeks. And these meetings are an occasion to start to know each other and a first step of collaboration. And then the second phase, we hope is going to be offline, but it's still very uncertain, unfortunately. But we are trying our best to give the artists the possibility to meet in person and work together live. Therefore, we are already planning a residency in December in Hong Kong, and then several residencies periods in 2021 in Italy and in the other countries. And Cross Festival is going to be one of the stops in Italy next May. And we will provide the opportunity for the group to work together through a residency and also to have feedbacks from the public and professionals. So we all hope that the pandemic situation will improve and to meet in person very soon.
Yeah, definitely. It's not the ideal scenario, but luckily you're able to at least run the part that is online now. And hopefully, as you said, things will change soon and you'll be able to have also the on-site part of the project later on. Thank you for this, Julia. I would like to move now to the other guest speakers in this podcast. I will start with Raymond Wong. Hi, Raymond. You are the general manager of City Contemporary Dance Company in Hong Kong. Can you share your experience as a partner of CRISOL and how important it is for you to develop and keep going with this kind of international collaborations?
Yes, so thank you for the time. And indeed, the CCDC, the City Contemporary Dance Support in Hong Kong, involved in quite a lot of cultural exchange opportunities. And so remember a few years ago, we already established an exchange opportunities with Mauritius, with the Fabrica Europa Festival. And at the same time in Hong Kong, we also set up a network with the artists in East Asia, including Seoul and also in Japan, particularly in Yokohama. So we formed an alliance called the Hot, where we shared information and provide exchange opportunities with the artists in the region. And of course, we also want to exchange and establish a regular form of artist collaboration, because we think this is very important to start learning from each other and be inspired with each other. So as a producer myself, I'm really keen on establishing a kind of CRISOL platform. I feel very fascinated when Maurizia actually invited me to join this project as a partner. And I also invited the Ergao, where he is now an independent artist in mainland China, who has no actually sufficient regular fundings for his creation. And that means we in Hong Kong support also a partner in mainland China to work in this project. And at the end, because of the COVID-19, I think this is also a good time to rethink about our creation. Then, of course, this is also positively, we could think this is also a good time to restart something new and to take a break for some of the artists. And this is also a good time when we are working on an offline exchange through this platform. So we start something in good pace. That means we are not traveling too much or not travel, we stay at home. And at the same time, we have some more time to think about our artistic practice. And this is also a different way to start a cultural dialogue. And this is something we haven't experienced before, but of course, this is good to everybody to take this as a kind of new normals. And I look forward to more offline exchange in the coming future.
Thank you, Raymond. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I think I agree also in all this very negative situation and condition where we are. There are some small positive things. At least we're slowing down things, and this time that we get now is something I think precious that we should cherish, because probably when things will resume, it will be difficult to maybe not travel and take more time to reflect on our projects. Thank you. Now over to Jayachandran Palazzi, who is the Artistic Director of Atakalari Center for Movement Arts in Bangalore, India. Hello, Jay. Can you share with us your personal experience of CRISOL so far?
First of all, a big thank you to Valentina Riccardi and ASEF for this initiative. Thank you also to Maurizia Settembri, Antonella Chirigliano, Gilia Polli, Luca Ricci, and all the other Italian and Asian partners and artists of the CRISOL project for keeping it alive and maintaining the enthusiasm for the project among the artists and all others involved. Even when the situation in the world went for a toss, especially for dance. As you know, India went through a particularly difficult period due to COVID-19 pandemic, and the situation continues to be precarious for dance artists and organizations. Atakalari Center for Movement Art being the lead organization for contemporary dance in India, it was very important for us to continue our activities through digital medium when the physical travels and gatherings were impossible. So our effort was actually to shift as many of our existing activities and projects to online platforms and develop new initiatives and leveraging the possibilities of the digital medium and the internet to create possibly new communities and connections. As Atakalari has worked with many international artists on multimedia projects over the years, this transition was possible for us with some challenges, of course. Our online classes are doing good, and I feel training and education will retain some aspects of the digital learning even after COVID-19 and will evolve into a blended hybrid learning process in future. I think the creative process of dance and production of new work offer more challenges as we are used to physical presence and contact in a studio space for these activities. As you can imagine, dance artists really wish to be in a studio or theater engaged in their artistic practices. Having already established a very good working relationship with Fabrica Europa and other partners of the CRISOL project, transitioning into an online platform was possible. It has to evolve, of course. I remember meeting with Maurizia, Antonella, and Gilia and our Asian partners at the end of February this year, again, when we were at all in Yokohama for the TPAM. My participation, of course, with TPAM was and allied activities was possible thanks to the support from ASEF. There are quite a lot of things one can do over the internet to prepare for an eventual physical meeting of people, which I hope will not be too far off in the future. As Atakalari's motto is traditional physical wisdom, innovation, and technology. this project is quite in line with our aims as well. We have already started this process, and I feel it will continue in a good way. Of course, there might be challenges along the way, but as all the partners and artists are committed to it, I feel we will achieve something significant and worthwhile. Maybe it will continue and develop for other projects as well, I hope.
Thank you, Jay. Thanks. I would like now to introduce Fabrizio Massini, the dramaturg and the artistic director of this CRISOL Asia Path. Hi, Fabrizio. Fabrizio, you have worked extensively in Asia and particularly in China as producer, touring manager, curator, dramaturg for performing arts. How has the process between the artists developed so far within the CRISOL project?
Hi, Valentina. Thanks for having me and thanks for the question. Actually, the process so far has gone beyond mine and I think everybody's expectation. It was kind of a bet, picking up on what Jay just said and Raymond just said. The performing arts now, it's in a moment of huge uncertainty. And if you allow this sort of a adventurous metaphor, it's a bit like with faith or religion. It's like you don't act or you don't do good because God exists. It's more that you do good so that God exists. It's sort of everybody's intention is to prepare the grounds and sort of pass the torch so that when things resume, we have more things to go on about. And I think so far, like Julia said, we started with these two keywords, which are form and tradition, because we thought they were relevant and important for all the artists involved in very different ways, because we have 7 artists, a lot of partners and very different contexts. So what we started is to, like we would have done offline, by getting to know each other. So I structured the work in a way that every artist get a chance to introduce their own individual artistic path, to tell themselves to the other and show a lot of some previous works so that everybody's updated about who everybody is. And also to experiment with this medium, because this is really uncharted territory. Until a few months ago, if you talked about online dance, it's kind of a paradox. How do you do dance without bodies? How do you do dance without proximity and physical space? So we're all experimenting, and I think the artists really grabbed this opportunity and sort of went out of their comfort zones. Most of them have been training and practicing dance for a very long time. So that's the language and the instrument they are used to use and employ to communicate and share. So do it through a webcam and in their own room. Most of them, it's very new, but I think what we have done so far is to really create a close-knit group. There is this kind of extraordinary feeling that we already know each other, that we are a small family that are going through this time. And I think it's giving everybody a lot of hope and a lot of energy. And everybody can't wait to meet in person, to really get on the ground and get on the stage to make all these ideas and discussion real in a way. But at the same time, because of the nature of the project, we are also paying attention to create an archive of images, of sounds, of movement, so that later on we can share the results of this experiment and pass it on, so that it hasn't been a one-off trial, a one-off test, but really something that we can build upon in the future as a model that can be replicated and experimented with. So it's all very exciting and very rewarding already, and we're just halfway with the online session. So
That's great. Great. Thank you. Thank you. This is, I mean, you kind of answered also my second question, because I was going to ask you, how do you think the project has sort of adapted to the situation of the COVID-19 and the fact that until now, all the activities and all the exchanges are happening only virtually, and also the challenges that you mentioned and Jay mentioned that are particularly pertinent to dance. As we know, I mean, if we don't have a physical exchange, it's very challenging. So I think you kind of answered that question already. So maybe I will just move on to wrapping up this conversation with one last question. And I wanted to ask Julia, Jay, and Raymond to answer it. Do you think that the experience gained thanks to this project will help overcome the current limitations in terms of mobility by proposing new innovative models of cooperation? Maybe Julia, you want to start? And then Jay and Raymond?
I believe that especially my generation is used to globalization and to travel and to meet people from different cultural background. And thanks to the global economy and technological development, the boundaries were blurring and disappearing. And this was very important for the new generation of artists and producers. And our industry was really synonymous with hyper connection and global mobility. So this new situation of closure is unexpected and in a way unbelievable and very challenging. So the only possibility, as everyone has said, is to use the digital space, and going digital has been the path that every one of us has taken. Even for the CRISOL project, there was nothing else that we could do at the moment. But I believe that going digital is also an easy solution. As we already discussed with you, Valentina, the other day, I believe that the digital space has so many limitations, especially for the performing arts. So even if it is difficult to define new models on how we can collaborate, I think that the most important thing is not the means, but it is actually this sense of global connection. So the exchange of the ideas, it's what matters really. So for sure, we will need to create new opportunities to engage with international peers and participate in the cultural exchange experiences, because these are really the core of who we are as human beings and as artists. And I think that these exchanges inform the way we look at the world and the way we treat each other, and absolutely the way we make art. So I would say, from my point of view, even if at the moment we must act locally, what we should remember is to think globally.
Jay, do you want to add something as well?
I think, this pandemic has brought in this lockdown and isolation, in a way, kind of a forced solitude. Dances or artist journey is a journey in solitude, often one say. So I want to see the positive side of this. And, this lockdown has forced us in a way, or actually encouraged us to have a solitude and isolation from the lockdown itself. That is the way one can make sense of it, so that you can retain an internal landscape, internal life, and maybe bring in your imagination and memories to travel to places. And digital medium maybe allows places and people to bring closer and maybe be part of that journey. And I feel that way this project has offered probably to the artists, I'm imagining for them, this opportunity to be in a community and engage with each other, but at the same time be in that special place of one's own solitude and that internal space. And digital medium also, in dance, we have been looking at this idea of disembodied presence. I've been involved with many projects like that, where your physical presence is not there, but you are present in some way. I think using telephone and WhatsApp and FaceTime, all these kind of medium, made our thinking process slightly different. And especially for younger people who are netizens and digital citizens, for them, maybe it is a little bit more easier to engage that thinking process. But what it takes away from us, the spaces or locations or architectural features or landscape are repositories of memory, and we ourselves, human beings, are temporary carriers of memory. So how to connect with our memory of the places and spaces as well as other people? Then our relationship with the tradition. When you travel to new places, you are contextualizing your life in this earth, and also in terms of connecting with our past traditions. We are kind of separated from both of these in the real sense. So the digital medium, hopefully, and the subject they chose, thank you, Fabrizio and others for that, the choice is about the tradition, and maybe bringing these places from different space, different location, and also maybe this tradition might be a somewhat, maybe not a sufficient one, but somewhat attempt to remedy this big gap. So I hope it will do some good in that direction.
Thank you, Jay. Raymond, would you like to add something before we close this session?
Yes, just one remark, because I totally agree with Julia and Jay. Of course, during the lockdown is a challenge to everybody. I try to think it positively is to think about how the performing arts could sustain and to go beyond all our limitations. For example, mine during these few weeks of exchange between CRISOL and our artists Noel and also Ergal got inspired a lot. And of course, they work locally on the potential possibilities of what they collected from the group of the artists, of the 7 artists. And I think this is also a concept, a new model of creation, is that we're thinking internationally. Like Julia said, it's like we work on the crowd, but at the same time we localize our content, and we might have many variations of the same ideas on the crowd, and that enrich the imagination and the creativity itself. And I think this is good to inspire. As I personally, as a producer, I try to work myself in both ways, physically and virtually. So I try to make our program of the company season in dual models, and I try to experiment. This is also a good time to experiment how we can go beyond that challenges. And of course, I hope this situation will be recovered very soon, of course. But the memories that we collected is indeed very valuable to how the artists could create, how we go further, and how to inspire our audience.
Thank you very much, Raymond. Thank you, everyone. I mean, this is really exciting, and it's also very positive in a way. Let's not think only about the present situation and the negative things that it brings, but it really also brings new things and new ways to collaborate. So I'm really looking forward to follow the process and seeing that next year you will also meet what will be the result of that. Before we close this podcast, I would like to thank you all once again. Maurizia Settembri and Fabrizio Massini in Italy, Julia Poli in Singapore, Raymond Wong in Hong Kong, and Jayachandran Palasi in India. It has been a pleasure talking to you, and to all our audiences, thank you for listening. We hope you have enjoyed this conversation on arts and culture, hosted by Culture 360, the arts and culture website of the Asia Europe Foundation. Follow us on Instagram for more conversations in the coming months. Good night.